What's going on? Welcome to another video here on the channel, and in this one I'm going to be doing another Scream video because I really enjoy talking about don't know favorite horror franchise, and the first one's my favorite horror movie in general, so I wanted to talk more about it. Not about Scream 5 today, but about the Scream franchise, all 4 movies that we currently have in general. So I want to talk about them all at once in ranking every single Ghostface killer from worst to best, and this is my opinion, but I am going to try to, talk about the movies a little bit, I don't really have anything written down, I just have the ranking, the list. I don't have, the requirements. I guess some of the requirements would be, the surprise factor. Obviously, that's a pretty big one. How, how surprising it was to find those ghost faces and find, the reveal, I guess. And that's pretty much it. I guess just how believable they are as a killer. But, yeah, so without further ado, guys, there are 7 ghost faces in Scream 1, 2, 3, and 4 combined. So, yeah, so 2 in every movie except for Scream 3, of course, just with 1 killer. But, yeah, so spoiler alert, if you guys haven't watched the movies, I guess I highly recommend you do watch all 4 of them, though, and eventually the 5th one when it comes out. But, yeah, without further ado, let's get right into the list, guys. So at my number 7 spot, my least favorite Ghostface, and again, this is just my opinion, but I'm going to try to give at least some reasons why I have them. I have the characters set in certain spots. So at number 7, I have Roman Bridger from Scream 3, and a lot of people, there's a group of people that like Roman because they think that he's smart. I guess he is the mastermind behind, behind Sydney's mom dying, getting killed, Maureen Prescott. I guess he is the one that drove Billy and Stu to do that, but I take it from Billy and Stu, and Billy and Stu are my favorite killers, which we'll get to later on, of course, respectively. But yeah, so Roman Bridger, even at the end, Sydney didn't even know. This is the only Ghostface where Sydney didn't even recognize him, and it was his own. He was his own. Or he was her own lost brother, which I think is an interesting take. But when you really think about Ghostface killers, you don't think about Roman Bridger, and honestly, I feel like having just 1 killer as well movie, and I hope they never do that again. I really like having 2 killers, having the caller, the mastermind, and then having the person that goes out and does the killings. I like that. But Roman Bridger, in my opinion, the Ghostface. Scream 3 is not a bad movie, it's just the worst of the Scream movies. And coming in at number 6, I have from Scream 2, Mrs. Loomis. And a lot of people, I've watched rankings of this same type of video, ranking all the ghost faces, and people actually like Mrs. Loomis. In my eyes, there just wasn't enough setup, just like with Roman Bridger in Scream 3, there wasn't enough setup for Mrs. Loomis. And, you could say it was surprising to have Billy's mom come out. It's kind of a cool thing what they did with, to kind of mirror the first Friday the 13th movie, which, is cool, but, I still gotta watch those movies for sure. Those are my next up after Child's Play and Halloween. I gotta watch all those. Yeah, so basically, Mrs. Loomis was interesting. I feel like she looked like Billy's mother, she was actually, she was believable as Billy's mom, but in my eyes, it just wasn't an interesting thing. And Scream 2, the script got leaked when they were, before Scream 2 got released in 1997. And the killers were originally supposed to be Derek, aka Sid's boyfriend in that movie, and also, which he was a very big, huge red herring in that movie. If you watch it, just there's music cues and everything that give him away as being the killer, but he's not, because they had to change the script and give it to Mrs. Loomis and Mickey. But, yeah, and then the second killer alongside Derek in the original script was gonna be, Hallie, I think Hallie's her name, Sid's, roommate, which she was, originally supposed to be the killer. And her actor even said that multiple times, so I would have been a better choice, but I don't know. Scream 2 is not a bad movie, but I feel like if it been way different, and it would have been, I don't know if it would be better, but it definitely would have been quite a little bit different. At the number 5 spot, guys, I have Charlie Walker, and this one is probably the least known Ghostface, I would say. He went under the radar. He is essentially the secondary killer in Scream 4. He's not you would think he's the new Randy. He basically was made out the whole movie to be the new Randy, and obviously if you've seen Scream 4, you know that it's basically a copy of Scream 1. It's a complete mirror of it, and Jill is Sydney, and of course Charlie is Randy. and since those two are the ones, the only survivors in the, you know, the kid versions, and Scream 1, the only survivors from the actual people, the, you know, the high school, I guess, you know, they were the killers. They flipped it around in Scream 4, which I actually really like. But Charlie just, he got betrayed by Jill at the end. Jill was the complete mastermind. Jill did most of the kills. Charlie didn't do very much. I mean, I think he killed Olivia, and then oh, what was his name? Robbie, and he killed his best friend Robbie. Were they even best friends? Or was, you know, wow, I just called Charlie Randy. Wow. But yeah, so, or was Charlie just, you know, making it up, you know, just pretending to be Robbie's friend? That's probably what was happening, honestly. But yeah, so Charlie was just not that interesting of a character. Didn't really get too much screen time, honestly, or, you know, too much build up, and I don't know, like a lot of characters in Scream 4 really didn't, unfortunately. But yeah, so that is my number 5 spot, guys. At number 4, I have in Scream 2, Mickey Altieri, and this is kind of a middle of the road guy for me. I mean, killer for me, honestly. He's the one that did most of the killings in Scream 4, or Scream 2, I mean, and, you know, Mrs. Loomis was doing most of the calls, of course, and being the mastermind behind it in Scream 2, of course. So Mickey, the problem with Mickey is I actually wish that he would have been not a killer, and in the original script, like I mentioned earlier, he was not meant to be a killer originally, but they had to change the script. So I like the actor that played Mickey. I think he did a good job, but I can believe Mickey as a killer, but there was just no... What was the motive? I mean, the motive just, there wasn't anything there, and that's just because they had to change the script in my eyes. I think that Mickey was pretty cool at the end. I think you could tell that he was a psychopath, but what a lot of people bring up about Mickey is he was gone for like the last, like some people say 45 minutes of the movie, you know, until he gets revealed to be Ghostface, and you can kind of, you know, a lot of people disappear at the end, but right before the end of Scream, just to, of the Scream movies, just to, you know, put in some more, you know, suspects, of course. That's what they always like to do. Yeah, I mean, Mickey was gone for a lot of the movie, so that was pretty obvious that you could tell it was him. So, yeah, Mickey's not bad, but he's not great, so he comes in at number 4. He's in the middle of the road for me. But at number 3, I have a lot of people's number 2 or number 1, Jill Roberts. Jill is an amazing killer. She, like I said earlier, she's the mastermind, the brains behind Scream 4's killings, and also, she also did the most killings. She did more than Charlie in both ways, you know, in the calls and in just the kills, which is insane. So Jill had a very good motive, one of the best in the series, and it was very surprising, honestly, when I first found out that Jill was the killer. Even though before I watched all the Scream movies, I already knew who the killer was because I had watched like clips and everything because I was like really interested in it at first, so I already knew who the killers were. It's not like I saw these movies in theaters and they came out, but yeah, Jill is a good killer. Jill is a good killer, and she could be brought back. I don't know. She didn't get shot in the head in Scream 4, so maybe. But, yeah, so at number 2, I have Stu Macher, and you already know who number 1 is. I already mentioned him in the video, but Stu Macher is the most likely person or killer to come back, but a lot of people say that's not gonna happen because that's kind of like an outdated thing. It's, you know, he was the original killer in Scream 1, and people think that, you know, they should have done that in Scream 3, which is what they were originally planning on doing. But I recommend you watch some videos or read about that, guys, because the original unused script for Scream 3 was very, very interesting, and it had Stu coming back, but they changed it because of, like, the Columbine school and, you know, the massacre and everything there, which is sad, but I think it would have been a good movie if they would have done that. Better than it turned out. But Stu is the killer. Well, he does most of the killings, I would say, in Scream 1, even though I think Scream 1 has the least amount of kills in the whole franchise. But Stu is a good killer. I could see them bringing him back, and he honestly seems like just a likable guy in the movies. You know, just like or in the movie, the one movie he was in. He seems like you know, just a typical, you know, class clown friend, and with a you know, a big house and everything, rich parents, which the final scene, there was just a lot of build up. The final, you know, area, I feel like Stu, they did a good job, honestly, with him. I really hope they bring him back somehow. you know, coming out of jail. That would be sick in my eyes. But at number 1, my favorite Ghostface in the whole franchise so far, at least, this is Billy Loomis. And, I gotta say, Billy just is my favorite. He was the mastermind, and he was the one, you know, leading, you know, making all the calls, mainly in Scream 1. He was just a great killer, and he was such a red herring, but he was it was such, like, they made it, Wes Craven made it, or I guess Kevin Williamson, that's always a hard name for me to say, both of them made it so that he was automatically such a red herring that you thought to yourself, like, there's no way he's gonna be the killer. They're just putting him out there as a red herring. But he turns out to be the killer, which is insane. And it took me a long time to find out if, when he dropped the phone at Sid's house early in the movie, if he actually meant to do that. And I found out it was for a reason. It was just to throw Sydney off. Yeah, that was just insane. So Billy was the smartest. Billy was the first. I love watching the first movie. Like I've said before, it's my favorite Scream. But yeah, so feel free to leave your list in the comments, guys. Again, this is just my opinion. But yeah, this is how I personally would rank the ghost faces in Scream. With Jill, Stu, and Billy being my top 3. I feel like that's always kind of like the main 3, the top 3 that everyone has on these types of lists. Some people have Mickey and stuff like that, but yeah, honestly, this is my list. So anyways, though, guys, my next video will probably be soon, in the next day or 2. I'm hoping to get it up. Just talking about Black Ops Cold War multiplayer. I watched the trailers. It looks pretty dang good, so I'm gonna be making some videos on that. Stay tuned, guys. Until then, I will see you all in the next one. Have a great day, guys, and peace out.